Week one of the preseason is in the books. And of course, hello, friends. Welcome to Spike Week. A lot has happened. Players have gotten hurt. Some depth chart things have been shaken up, and some things have gone according to plan. Our Tyjae Spears bags are looking worse. Our Rachaad White bags are looking worse. But maybe our TreVeyon Henderson and our RJ Harvey bags are looking a lot better. We're going to dive into every single week one preseason game with all of the fantasy takeaways, the fantasy relevant information here at Spike Week. And then, we'll do what we do. We'll pop into a draft. Let's do it. GM to everyone. I'm laughing at I'm a loser till I win the millie is certainly an interesting username. Respect. Good morning. It's a wonderful day to be in the best ball streets. We have very limited amount of time left, but a ton of news to get into super quickly. If you have not signed up for Spike Week Premium, I'm not sure what you're doing. There have been like thousands of messages in the Discord, which all of the premium channels are behind the paywall. All you got to do is sign up for Spike Week Premium in the description. We got something fun coming from our friends over at Drafters a little later this week. Also, of course, you get access to all the tools, all of the rankings, of which I updated yesterday. I updated our best ball rankings for Underdog, all the formats on Underdog, Eliminator, Sprint, Marathon, Drafters, DraftKings. Everything is updated with this news that we're talking about here today. We also have college football rankings out. I got the NBA rankings coming soon. So if you like to play other forms of best ball, right, and the MLB playoffs will be coming out, we'll have rankings for all the different sports, which you can get with your premium subscription. One premium subscription. We got DFS stuff coming. You'll have our DFS plays. I got a new special person coming in that's going to do some DFS stuff with us that I think you will like this year. Sports betting picks, all of it for just $39.99 a month or $200 per year, 365 days, not per season, per annual year. Lastly, if you would like to be entered to the every Friday leading up to the season, we're going to give away 3 free tickets to the Drafters main event. That's a $20 tournament. I'll give away 3 tickets every single Friday. All you have to do if you would like to be entered is comment on, starting on last night's video. Myself and Rob did a chalk combos show last night in the best ball basement. If you would, starting with last night's show, today, tomorrow, Thursday, drop a comment on one of the videos. Every comment you drop will be giving you an entry into the free ticket giveaway on Friday. You do not have to be present to win. We'll figure out how to sync up, right? I'll get your username somehow and you'll get your free ticket. We'll do that every Friday leading into the season. But let's go ahead and get into some of this news because there's a lot. We're going to go game by game. We are, however, going to skip the Thursday games. So every Friday, I've been doing this kind of training camp and preseason recap from a fantasy standpoint. The people have seemingly liked it. And quite frankly, it has helped me become organized and more in touch with everything by specifically going game by game and making all of my notes like a noob, like a 17-year-old me taking notes for a quiz or something. But covered the 3 preseason games from last Thursday on the Friday show. So if you would like to get that information, those were broken down. The Keaton Mitchell, the Will Shipley, all of that, the Torrey Hortons, all of those situations were on the Friday show. So you can get those 3 Thursday games on the Friday show. Really quickly, come on, we gotta show love to the Charles, even getting on the GM train. Lots of GMs. Good day, sweet world, says my guy Bernie. Chris, we'll get to Jordan Watkins, I promise. We'll get the 49ers. Chris says it's over for it's Jover for us Jordan Watkins drafters. It is certainly a roller coaster of emotions investing in any San Francisco 49er. At this point, I think they should just put George Kittle, Ricky Pearsall, and Christian McCaffrey in bubble wrap for the next couple of weeks because, my God, what a disaster it is. Pi says, please confirm my priors and tell me TreVeyon, Benson, Braylon, Shipley, and Trey Tucker. one of those things is not like the other. That was an interesting. I'm like, okay, TreVeyon, check. Trey Benson, cool. Braylon, yep. Shipley, yep. Trey Tucker. Where the hell did Trey Tucker get in this this list of awesome players? Angel is always watching, but new to watching live. Welcome, Angel. Thank you for joining us. Torrey Horton to the moon. Amen. Sean Tucker, he says. Sean Tucker. We'll get to Sean Tucker. Great day to be a Brewers fan. God damn it. Yes, it is. Nonetheless, us Cardinals fans are weeping and pretending that we're in the wild card race when we very much are not. But nonetheless, let's get to the stuff that we're here to discuss so we can draft the team after we are done. Let's go. Hold on. Let me move my big dome around the screen a little bit here so we can see some stuff. All right. Game by game, starting with the very first one. Lions versus Falcons. Quick and easy. This one's very quick and easy. They didn't play anybody. the Falcons historically kind of don't. Dan Campbell so far through 2 games, which of course they have a couple more. I think we'll probably see some of the starters for the Lions, but the Falcons rested everybody. Isaac TeSlaa, there's a slow little steady drumbeat about TeSlaa with the Lions, continues to impress through 2 preseason games. He is playing with backups against backups, right? In the Hall of Fame game against backups, and in this game against Falcons backups, though you would rather check a box than not check a box in this instance. So if you're drafting Isaac TeSlaa, combining it with a little bit of the drumbeat, I think it's good. I think it's a good deal for him. He was not really, so I'll also give some of my personal takes on how I'm approaching things along the way. Doesn't mean you have to do it exactly how I have the same takeaways or the same player targets at all. Just giving some perspective about how I'm thinking about things in my own personal drafts. I try to be an open book in these situations. I was previously drafting some other like kind of rookie wide receivers and just overall late round wide receivers over Isaac TeSlaa. I still don't have him quite in the, he's not for me in the Torrey Horton, Jalen Royals, some of those kind of tiered. Certainly Dyami Brown. Dyami's in a kind of a different tier and such now. But he's in the mix with some other late round wide receivers that will come up here on the show. I've started to dabble in the Isaac TeSlaa waters just a little bit now. I just really like the Lions offense, and they seem to like him. And one of the themes for me, why these shows I think are so important, specifically for me, is trying not to pretend I know better all the time, which is, I think, something a lot of fantasy bros do and something I have historically done probably a little bit too much. Taking my player takes, my prospect profiles, my all of that kind of stuff, and really anchoring to it at this time of the year is not necessarily terrible, but I think more often than not, especially with resources like Coach Speak Index, 32 beat writers, just being just absolutely eternally online in August, they're giving us a lot of valuable information, and they're telling us a lot. They're telling us players that they like, mostly by their actions, but also by their words, and trusting that the coaches are giving us some of the keys to drafts right now. We didn't know this information in June. What's the point of saving all of these drafts for right now if we're not going to still listen to the coaches? And TeSlaa is one of those I didn't particularly like, but there continues to be a nice steady drumbeat. I don't see any reason why he shouldn't be in the last round mix, even if my like player take, prospect take on him is not all that bullish. When Dan Campbell says something about this player, I want to listen. So something to just consider as I talk through some of these guys and how I'm thinking about them in fantasy circles. So that's it for Lions Falcons. Boring one. Although Isaac TeSlaa has a cool name. Browns Panthers, maybe a little bit more exciting. Not maybe, definitely more exciting. Shedeur played well. Shout out to Shedeur. I will say I think it was maybe the most overrated performance I've ever seen in my entire life. He was fine. Shedeur's fine. Better than what could have happened. But I don't think I've ever seen someone throw for 6 yards per attempt, which is not good, by the way. Just for anybody that maybe isn't as in tune with yards per attempt and what that number means. 6 yards per attempt, not good. Very bad, actually. It took him 23 passes to get just over 100 yards. It's not very good. That means he's throwing 50 passes in a game. If we extrapolate that, and he's still not getting to 300 yards, not great, right? But he kind of took what the defense gave him, didn't make mistakes, made a couple of good throws, even scrambled once. So I thought he played well. He put himself in the conversation, I think, to be the starter. I would still, however, project Joe Flacco to start week 1 if it was me, but that's just a guess. They haven't told us anything. Speaking of listening to the coaches, they haven't told us a single thing about what's going on with their quarterback play. I still would suspect it's Joe Flacco week 1, but Shedeur at least put himself in that conversation. Bruce says, I agree. He played well, but the reactions, people being like, see, Shedeur should have been a first-round pick. Like, come on, man. Trey Lance is also playing well in the preseason. Should Trey Lance be the starter for somebody? Like, come on. And Trey Lance is playing better than Shedeur did in that game. More notable names. Tet McMillan, a.k.a. T-Mac, Tetaroa McMillan for the Panthers, obviously top 10 pick, wide receiver. As you would expect, played every single snap with the ones, turned 3 targets into 2 catches for 42 yards in that game. Looked great. Very excited about T-Mac. Just wanted to add that if you were, we'll get to the Trey Harrises and stuff of the world. It is nice, similar to Shedeur, similar to Tesla and stuff, just to check the box. Like, don't leave the box unchecked, please, because I don't need any more things to worry about in August. There's a million guys getting hurt. There's a million guys that I've drafted that I feel worse about now. I don't need to be worrying about my 4th-round pick, first overall pick wide receiver in terms of the NFL draft. He was the first wide receiver selected. Check the box, T-Mac. Thank you very much. The most notable thing I think from this game for me, actually by a lot, was the Panthers backfield. I have been like in on Rico Dowdle and ahead on Rico Dowdle, but he's been like this boring oatmeal-ish late round running back that kind of, whenever a new flavor of the week pops up, whenever Keaton pops up, obviously you guys know I love Will Shipley. We're getting a lot of Braylon Allen hype. We're getting new guys, constantly the Kyle Manung guys of the world, right? We're getting new guys cycled in as late round running backs. Dowdle was always just whatever. He's not that exciting. I thought the preseason game was very bullish for Rico Dowdle. He was very clearly the passing down back for the Panthers. So that's not nothing. That's nice. And also did sprinkle in terms of a committee, not just on passing downs with Chuba Hubbard. You have to take all these with a grain of salt. Just what happens in preseason game 1 does not mean that's what, is going to happen on the first drive of the NFL season or over the course of the season. But I thought that it was very telling that Dowdle is a very real part of their plans. Doesn't mean you have to love Dowdle. I do like Dowdle quite a bit more after that game. And Chuba, if he's not going to get passing down work, it's pretty tough, I think, to take him in the 5th round. So not like a major move on Chuba. It's just one game. We'll kind of see how the rest of the preseason plays out for the Panthers, but a little bit concerning for Chuba Hubbard's upside without a Rico Dowdle injury, which is not ideal for a 5th round pick in best ball drafts. Xavier Legette was starting as one of the boundary wide receivers. Jalen Coker came in after him because Legette got ejected from the game. They do seem to be competing for that job. Adam Thielen in the slot, T-Mac on one side, and Legette and Coker competing for the other one. Coker did pop in that game while Legette got ejected. So, one game. Can't take anything too far from one game, but nonetheless, Jalen Coker 1, Xavier Legette 0 so far through the 1 week of the preseason in that battle. Our guy Harold Fannin played 6 snaps when kind of the starter-ish group was still in there, ran 5 routes, didn't do anything. No real concern for me there. It was cool to see him out there, but just didn't get any work. No concerns yet for me in that regard. He's a last-round pick, rookie tight end that we're hoping can blossom over the course of the season. I'm not going to get out over my skis just yet on Harold Fannin. Dylan Sampson started, but no real major takeaways for me with that one either, because Jerome Ford and Pierre Strong did not dress for the game. So does that mean Sampson is the one? I doubt it, but it doesn't mean he's not. We need to see what happens when Jerome Ford specifically is playing in these games. This is true. Positive. So maybe 1 Jalen Coker, 1 Xavier Legette 0.5. He's passionate. He's fiery. He'll stand up for his teammates. He's a fighter. I agree. Commanders, Patriots. I mean, come on. I really buried the lead here, but I went in chronological order. It's TreVeyon Henderson season, man. He rocks. TreVeyon Henderson rocks. And you've probably seen in your drafts, he's moved up already into the 4th round in drafts, like closer to the 3-4 turn in eliminator drafts that I'm doing. But he rocks. He's awesome. He's explosive. He did play the 3rd downs. Ramondre started the game, got the first 3 carries. And TreVeyon played on 3rd downs, obviously returned a kick for a touchdown, showed his explosion on special teams. He's a good football player. I'm extremely excited about TreVeyon Henderson. And if there was a guy that, just like totally dusts off Ramondre Stevenson over the course of the season, similar to what Bucky Irving did to Rachaad White, but maybe even on steroids, because TreVeyon can play on passing downs with his pass protection. Notably, we talked last week, the TreVeyon started a fight in training camp during pass protection because he's trying to like murder people in pass protection. I mean, it's just all bull signals, I think, for TreVeyon Henderson. Yeah, nothing else much to say. Diggs and Bourne did not play in that game, and the 3 wide receiver set that started was Kayshon Boutte, Matt Collins, and Pop Douglas in the slot. Kyle Williams was not a part of that starting group. I think I'm going to I haven't moved him in just yet, but I think I'm going to move up Kayshon Boutte a little bit in the rankings. I think he is not competing with Stephon Diggs, but I think it's very possible that he could kind of win that job away from Matt Collins, though Matt Collins is kind of the Samaje Perine, Dario Ogunbowale of wide receivers, that he's never really going to go away fully. And so what does technically the wide receiver 3 role mean for Kayshon Boutte? I'm not sure, but they do really seem to like him as well. And he's another player very similar to Tesla that I didn't really like, that if the drumbeat continues and the coach speak about his performance as well as where he stands on the depth chart continues, I think it would be very foolish for me. I'm very in on the Patriots. I'm overweight Drake May, but it's been mostly Drake May with Stephon Diggs, a sprinkle of Hunter Henry, a sprinkle of Pop Douglas where it makes sense. But I think having a last round Patriots wide receiver to stack with Drake May is pretty valuable. And right now, I think I would place those chips on Kayshon Boutte. And Kyle Williams probably a little overpriced at this point. I know he's a rookie, right? We're betting on the rookie, but Kayshon Boutte ain't exactly old. I think we'll see. I don't think it's over for Kyle Williams by any stretch of the imagination. That's not how it works for rookies. But I do think, day one, it's pretty interesting. We'll see this with like the Pat Bryants of the world as well. I think it's pretty interesting for the Booties to kind of lock down that job and keep Kyle Williams, maybe to more of a redshirt role as a freshman. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt started in this game for the Commanders on the Commander side. No B-Rob or Eckler. And how it looks to me, as well as shout out Nate Yonke from PFF, by the way. If you're not following him on all social media, I don't know what the hell you're doing. He also does phenomenal recaps after all of these preseason games. You can get he charts every game, so you can get the snap counts of exactly how many snaps, how many routes, where on the right are they playing in the slot, are they playing outside, etc. Nate does a phenomenal job of tracking all that. I use him as my resource for all of this, by the way. So shout out Nate. Not that he needs me, and you guys probably know who he is, but just have to give credit where credit is due for Nate's hard work. But JCM started, right? Air quotes started. And it's interesting because how I would classify this backfield is JCM is sort of the B-Rob backup, is an early down runner, which is what we basically he's taking the Chris Rodriguez role from last year, whereas Jeremy McNichols is sort of the Austin Eckler backup. And I think if I had to guess right now, I think they keep all 4 guys on the 53. And that's sort of how it works. So the Krosky-Merritt steam is somewhat warranted, I think, but maybe a little out over our skis in terms of just how high he's risen so quickly. I think I think there's a perception that because we don't love Brian Robinson as a football player, and certainly not Austin Eckler as a football player at this stage in their careers, at least. B-Rob overall, he's pretty unexciting, vanilla type running back, that Krosky Merritt could just take that job away from him. I find that exceptionally low probability. Brian Robinson is the exact kind of football player that we don't love because they're not like super sexy for fantasy, but NFL teams do. And Krosky Merritt is flashing, and I think has some talent. Looked good in his second to last year at New Mexico in college, but not a pass catcher. Only caught 7 passes at New Mexico, and then of course did not play last year. Essentially 13 carries or whatever it was. Did not play at Arizona last year. So he's a little bit of a mystery box, which I think is part of the allure of the market. But I also think I'm not going to go crazy. I am listening, right? It's another one of these. I am listening, but in terms of my late round running back priorities, he's not quite as much of a priority for me, maybe, as the market seems to dictate. Though he's kind of in a different tier than some of these other guys that we'll talk about, the Keatons and the Shipleys. Shout out to Keaton for basically resting from practice and getting a nice little Q tag for us to keep his price in check. If you're in search of what the hell to do with the Commanders wide receivers, obviously Terry holding out. Noah Brown has been banged up all of camp, and maybe you don't believe in Deebo Samuel resurgence. KJ Osborne, fun fact, is on the Commanders, in case you didn't know. So is Michael Gallup. Probably not for long, but Michael Gallup is also on the Commanders, which is fascinating to see. They love old guys on the command. The Commanders really like the old players. KJ Osborne notably played in the slot with the starters. So their 3 starting wide receivers did not play. Luke McCaffrey played on the outside. And I think that's both good and bad for Luke McCaffrey, because Noah Brown is not exactly a picture of health, and Terry McLaurin is currently not playing for the Washington Commanders. So those two would be probably a lot of outside type work. Remains to be seen where they're going to move Deebo. I suspect they'll move him around, especially without Terry. But Jalen Lane and Kate backed up KJ Osborne in the slot. So we just don't really have a lot of clarity of how this will shake out, certainly with Terry holding out. But I think we need to see Deebo and Noah Brown in there and see how this looks in a future preseason game. But just something to think about amongst Washington, because if you're like me and if you ever take Jaden Daniels and you don't get Terry or you don't get Deebo, maybe you don't really want to take Zach Ertz or something. You're looking for another wide receiver, and I don't have a really strong takeaway. Just it was notable, I think. Something more to monitor over the course of the preseason. Sinnott on the first series looked okay. Think he gets more work. I mean, my days of pretending Zach Ertz is ever going to go away are gone. I'll believe it when I see it. I have a dabble of Ben Sinnott, but do I think Ben Sinnott is just going to take the job from Zach Ertz? Gun to my head, no. I would love for that to happen, but we'll keep. Washington is one of the most noteworthy. Let's keep our eyes on all this stuff going on in Washington camp is how I would classify it, and I would lump Ben Sinnott in there. Shuby says Jalen Lane drumbeat has started. I'm just very interested to see the next couple of weeks for Washington. Giants against the Bills. Tyrone Tracy, of course, Cam Scatterby is injured. Tyrone Tracy was RB1, looked good in very limited work. I've moved Tyrone Tracy up quite significantly in the rankings. I think with Cam Scatterby hurt, they kind of know what they have in Motor, aka Devin Singletary. I think the Giants' offense is an exciting one, specifically because the market is really down, right? Outside of Malik Neighbors. The entire thesis of the Giants across the entire fantasy landscape is, they stink. Have you looked at their schedule? They're going to be 1-8. And that's possible. I would say maybe even likely, but I don't think it's ever likely that anyone's 1-8 through 9 games. Even though the Patriots beat the Bengals in week 1 of last year, so I don't think that's likely. But obviously, they're going to be fighting an uphill battle to win games against good teams. I think they might be better than people are giving them credit for. The Giants, I bet them +7 against Washington already. in week 1. I think they might be an undervalued team to start the season. And Tyrone Tracy showed us fantasy viability last year in a much worse version of the Giants. Like, say whatever we want about Russell Wilson, he is an upgrade, a fairly significant one. And then even if something were to happen to Russ down the road, Jackson Dart, I know I didn't put him down here, but Jackson Dart looked good in this game. And they have Jameis Winston, who, Jameis is Jameis, but he is for a third quarterback on a roster is extremely good. So I think that there's a lot more stability, upside, floor, everything to the New York Giants, and Tyrone Tracy is kind of the linchpin of that, I think, from a how everything's shaking out so far in camp for the Giants. Slightly concerning for the Dalton Kincaid breakout, though. Again, it was like 6 snaps. So what are we going to really draw from that? His role did not change. If you were like, Dalton, this is the year Dalton Kincaid finally takes everything away from Dawson Knox, that did not happen. Obviously, Josh Allen did not play in this game. Khalil Shakir did not play in this game. Curtis Samuel did not play in this game. So you would have loved to see Dalton Kincaid be the starting tight end and maybe play in the slot or something. And he was still just kind of the passing down guy, splitting work with Dawson Knox. It was a handful of snaps. It's not over. He did get pulled first. He seemed to be more of the priority, right? Get out there, go get some reps and get your ass back to the sideline so you stay healthy. Whereas Dawson Knox played into the second quarter, I believe, scored a touchdown. You just hope, it's hopium, but we were hoping to see oh, wow, look at this. Dalton Kincaid, shiny new toys. He's taken this job by the reins. And I'm not sure that that's happened, at least not yet. James Cook was out. The James Cook story is hilarious, by the way. I don't know if you got, go look it up. James Cook has not practiced in a while for the Bills. As you know, he wants a new contract. He's holding in. He's doing a Terry McLaurin, Juwan Jennings, whatever. Those guys are, have injuries. I don't want to say anyone's lying, but so we'll just say injuries. With James Cook on the sideline, just super quickly, Ray Davis did start. He was the running back 1, but Ty Johnson, we should expect to play third downs and mix in, of course. Ray Davis played about 60% of the snaps. I believe it was 58. You can fact check me on that. I believe Ray Davis played 58% of the snaps when James Cook missed a game last year and got 20-something touches. I think that's how I would expect it, 60-40, 65-35 to Ray. If something were to happen to James Cook, I think we could get some standalone value from Ray Davis. We'll see how that all plays out. But he's a high value handcuff still for me, even though Ty Johnson will be a thing. If there's no James Cook, Ray Davis still has a ton of value because being the lead back on a Josh Allen Buffalo Bills offense is really valuable. James Cook led the NFL in rushing touchdowns last year because he played running back for Josh Allen. So a lot of value, even though it's not just a straight Tyler Algier level handcuff situation. But James Cook hasn't practiced in, a week or something like that, but he warmed up for the game. And I guess the Bills coaches thought maybe that meant he might play. And he was like, no, I'm not. I haven't practiced. I'm just getting warmed up. I just want to get the feeling of warming up for the football game, which is also bizarre. He rug pulled them, I guess. Just bad vibes all around with the Bills going on. Jason says that Cook is back at practice today. But just a hilarious situation. I want to know, I would love to have been a fly on the wall or a fly in the air, I guess, of that being out there on the field. And they're like, so are you going to play? And he's like, the fuck are you? You think I was playing? I haven't practiced in 8 days. And do you think I'm going to play? No, of course not. I'm not going to play. Josh Allen isn't playing. Why? And I'm holding out for a contract. I'm not playing. And did they get mad? Did Sean McDermott get mad? Right? Anyway, it's really not important, but just there's always some soap opera level drama going on across the NFL. Last thing, Wan'Dale Robinson, of course, noted slot merchant PPR scam of a wide receiver over the course of his career, did play 3 of his 6 snaps on the outside amongst wide receivers. No Darius Slayton in this game. No Malik Neighbors in this game. So will he ever play on the outside? If those guys are active, it remains to be seen, but it certainly wasn't nothing. I've been a noted wan'dale hater, specifically on Underdog, but in best ball circles all around as like a congratulations, you got 140 targets and never produced a game over 13 PPR points. It's kind of the Wan'Dale Robinson story, but a lot of that is being a slot merchant and only catching the bullshit gimmicky slot stuff. They threw him the ball downfield and he played on the outside. And so if that's something that's possible for this season, maybe he's playing in 12 personnel, right? Maybe it's Neighbors and Wan'Dale instead of Darius Slayton out there. Notable. So something to track on Wan'Dale Robinson. And Lil Jordan Humphrey, still a thing, still alive and kicking, kind of like KJ Osborne. We always see these guys pop up during preseason and you're like, wait a second. Lil Jordan Humphrey is still out there. Tyquan Thornton might make the Chiefs, which we'll get to in a little bit. You're like, Tyquan Thornton is still in the NFL? Tyquan Thornton looks good? Like, what? Those names always continue to pop up. Texans, Vikings. Jaden Higgins was a starter in this game on the outside. Jalen Noel came in and only played in the slot. So it's not bad or good. It just is. It's kind of what we have been expecting. Christian Kirk, of course, no Nico and Christian Kirk. And so Jalen Noel appears to be Christian Kirk's backup right now, which could be viewed as a good thing, and it could be viewed as a bad thing. If you think he can overtake Christian Kirk, great. I find it hard to believe he overtakes Jaden Higgins, at least at this current moment in time on the outside. Obviously, no one is overtaking Nico Collins, but Jalen Noel with contingent value as a wide receiver 4 with a intriguing to fun prospect profile. Any of our Ty Felton shares don't feel exceptionally great right now. This could be our generation's Olabisi Johnson. I highly doubt that, but I guess it's technically possible. Lucky Jackson played over Ty Felton. Of course, Jordan Addison, Jalen Naylor, and Lucky Jackson were the 3 wide receiver set. Of course, Justin Jefferson sitting out with a hamstring injury, and Ty Felton was not in that starting group. So if we were hoping for Ty Felton to be out there early in the season when Jordan Addison is suspended, assuming Justin Jefferson is back, Jalen Naylor will be out there. Right now, it looks like that will be Lucky Jackson if the season started today. Lots of camp still to go, lots of preseason still to go, but just something to note on any Ty Felton shares. I just also have to say, poor Rondale Moore, man. Looks like a possible career-ending knee injury he suffered very early in that preseason game. And if you've been around in the best ball streets for years now, you know that all of us sickos were very into Rondale Moore. Also, just go back and watch Rondale Moore highlights. I'll never forget, I played Rondale Moore's very first game, Thursday night, the first DFS slate of his freshman year at Purdue. He had been getting like this crazy hype over the course of the summer as like, I think this freshman is going to be a stud for Purdue. He might be the focal point of the offense. He squatted like 800 fucking pounds or something. There's a video out there. Go search like Rondale Moore squat. You'll see an old video of Rondale Moore like squatting 1 billion pounds and everybody all hyped. I love those videos. Everybody hyping him up while he's in the squat rack. But he was just awesome, dude, at Purdue. Like came in immediately, 18 years old, and dominated the Big Ten. His very first game, I remember, like I said, playing him in DFS at like min priced and 0 ownership, and he just goes nuts in the very first college game, very first DFS slate of that year. Just sucks to see some of those names that were like a lot of fun for years, even though he totally flamed out. It sucks that it had to happen this way. So many injuries for Rondale Moore. On a more positive note, Aaron Jones did not play. I guess there was a better segue into this. On a more positive note, without Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason played every single snap with the starters, including what is important to me on passing downs. He played third downs. Is he the world's best pass catcher? No, definitely not. And Aaron Jones should play plenty of that. However, it is notable to me that they trusted him to play those snaps, meaning if Aaron Jones were to ever miss time or get dinged up or whatever, I think we could get full-blown Jordan Mason workhorse, which is what we need at this price. We want the standalone value and the workhorse contingent value from Jordan Mason. And I think, again, small sample, one game, I think we got some pretty clear evidence that that will be the case. If Aaron Jones is not around, Jordan Mason is the man in the Vikings backfield. All right, Steelers, Jaguars. God, I hate talking about the Steelers. I don't think I put it. Oh, yeah, I put there's one thing about the Steelers. So let's start with the boring part about the Steelers. And it's specifically boring because in the most Steelers fucking thing of all time, Kenny Gainwell got the start. Note, Jaylen Warren rested in this game. And of course, Kenny Gainwell starts at running back over Caleb Johnson. Unsurprising. I've moved Caleb Johnson down in the rankings, and it's so Aaron Rodgers and so Arthur Smith and so Mike Tomlin to like, this guy Caleb Johnson needs development time. And I get it. They're trying to win. The Steelers are trying to go 9-8 and make the playoffs. They're the most Jeff Fisher ass team in the league right now. That's why they brought in Aaron Rodgers to try to make the playoffs and lose by 40 again to the Baltimore Ravens. But Kenny Gainwell playing, like, just we got to see what we got in Caleb Johnson. I know you trust Kenny Gainwell, but come on, man. Anyway, the two wide receiver set, the Jaguars play their starters. So that's the most fun part of all of this. And the Travis Hunter played 11 of 12 snaps with the starters. However, he was essentially the slot receiver. They did, I think they're going to move guys around. Liam Cohen's very sharp. But I would classify, if I had to like straight classify, outside wide receivers versus slot receivers, I would say that Travis Hunter was the slot receiver amongst the group. He played the most snaps in the slot, but he did come out in their one snap of 12 personnel. That was Dyami Brown and Brian Thomas, which I think that makes a ton of sense. He also played 8 snaps of defense. He did not play on defense in the first drive. So what do we take away from that? Nate Yonke and my take as well was maybe a slight lean to offense to start the season, maybe the whole season, but to start the season, maybe a little bit of a lean to offense from a Travis Hunter snap count perspective. So, but it was exactly as we expected amongst the wide receivers. Brian Thomas Jr., Dyami Brown. I typed Dyami Brown. Dyami Brown, Brenton Strange at tight end. Travis Etienne got the start at running back. Played the first series with the starters. Tank Bigsby followed and came in after Etienne was done, and then Bashal Tutin came in after Tank Bigsby. It's probably about what we expected. I think it's possible, given some of the camp reports, we thought we would get Tank Bigsby as the starter. One thing of note that I also try to remind myself when I see this kind of stuff as to not overreact in the preseason game, when a guy's only going to play, like what they'll do is like, you get one series, you get one series, you get one series type situation. And that doesn't mean that in a game, right, that Etienne is going to play every single snap. It means you get the first shot, you get the next shot, right. It does mean Etienne might be their thought about the starter. But what does starter mean? Does starter mean 50-50? Does starter mean 33-33-33? Does it mean Etienne ended up playing passing downs and Tank gets? We don't know just yet, but we have to report the news. Travis Etienne got the start at running back for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Cowboys, Rams. Something I did not put on here, but I just want to say this was a painful sweat. This was a painful sweat, but we did ship a 48x pick'em ticket. Thanks to this game. The preseason was good to us last Saturday. Was this game was on Saturday? I think either Friday or Saturday. I think Saturday. But it was a sweat because Joe Milton is absolutely fucking atrocious. Oh my God. Joe Milton playing against the Rams third stringers couldn't complete a pass. He was like 1 for his first million. It was an absolute disaster, but we went over and it was a good day. Turned $20 into about $1,000 and NFL preseason. Shout out to the pick'em in the Spike Week Discord. Blake Corum got the start over Travis Hunter. Jarquez Hunter. That seems good. I did move Blake Corum up However, you see the second bullet, which is the most relevant to both of these things. Jordan Whittington and Tutu Atwell rested with all of the other starters. So yes, Jordan Whittington did not play. If you recall, what got us onto Kyren Williams as much as so Jordan Rodriguez was kind of winking about Kyren Williams over the summer. And then we got to the preseason. What Sean McVay does, what Sean McVay believes in, is if you are going to be a factor, right? What does that mean? You're going to be a key contributor. However, Sean McVay defines that. You don't play. You don't play in the preseason. Does that mean Blake Corum or Jarquez Hunter are not going to be key factors? Well, no, we don't know that because obviously their biggest aspect of their fantasy profile is contingent value. If something happens to Kyren, they will have to play. However, when Jordan Whittington and Tutu Atwell are not playing in this game, Colby Parkinson did not play in this game. Terrence Ferguson did not play in this game. He's not playing anybody, and Corum and Jarquez both got to play. Corum got to start, played more to start. Hunter kind of mixed in, got in a little bit of passing work. Corum did get the 2 goal line touchdowns. It actually is like a little bit bearish to me. Like they definitely haven't figured that one out between those two guys, who is the key contributor. So I'm going to continue to monitor that one a little bit. Had to mention Joe Milton for Pie. I know that one hurt his soul. Just another one of like the eyebrows raised because of who's playing and who isn't, right? If Terrence Ferguson and Jordan Whittington and Colby Parkinson are not playing, but Blake Corum and Jarquez Hunter are, I think that speaks volumes about where McVay is at with those two guys, at least in terms of figuring out who the air quotes 2 is. If we're interested in the Cowboys passing offense, and maybe we're interested in the wide receiver 3, Jalen Tolbert played in this game. Kevontae Turpin did not play in this game. What does that mean? I don't know, right? But notable. It's an eyebrow raiser, I think, of a situation when one guy is too valuable to dress out even though he's seemingly in this competition for that role, and the other guy is playing with Joe Milton in the preseason. Something to consider with the Cowboys. Titans, Bucks, one of the biggest things. We certainly buried one of the leads 45 minutes into the show. Tyjae Spears, one of my favorite kind of middle-ish round running backs, and awesome, what I thought, 0 running back target. Word out of Tennessee was, Tony Pollard really kind of dominated the backfield for much of last season, and they wanted to make it a little bit more of an even split between him and Tyjae. I think Tyjae was just as good, if not better, than Tony Pollard. Just my biased hand in the dirt take. And Tyjae suffered a high ankle sprain. We don't have a definitive timeline for his return, but high ankle sprain's always scary. And I think it should probably put Tony Pollard's early season role in pretty strong shape. Though, as we continue to get more news about Tyjae Spears, I'll be monitoring and possibly / likely buying a dip that we get in playoff format tournaments where, if he's my RB5 or something, I can survive the first month without my pick one. I did draft him this morning in the 150s on Underdog, and I had 5 running backs before I drafted him. Like, if I can't survive without Tyjae Spears for a couple weeks, the concern, of course, with the high ankle sprain or any of these injuries that occur right now is re-aggravation. Are they able, or do they rush back? Are they ever healthy this year? Do we get an Isaiah Pacheco type season, right, where they're just never healthy at all? That's the risk that gets introduced with one of these injuries. But so we all have to figure out kind of our risk tolerance and where we want to draft these guys. The starting 3 wide receiver set for the Tennessee Titans was Calvin Ridley, Van Jefferson, and Tyler Lockett, the oldest starting wide receiver group in the history of football. Chig Okonkwo did play every snap with Cam Ward. So historically, Chig has rotated with other tight ends in Tennessee, including under this coaching staff. Gunnar Helm came in when they played 2 tight ends, but Chig played every single snap with Cam Ward. A notable thing from a late round tight end that I think is pretty appealing. Rachaad White also got hurt in this game, so another RB2 bites the dust. A groin injury. We also do not have, at least as of this morning, official word on what's up with Rachaad White and his groin. How serious is it? They called him sore the day after the game. Like, no shit, he's sore. He like limped to the sideline and laid down and was clutching at his groin. That's never great. So I worry similarly, like we said with Tyjae, about even if it's, certainly not a season ender, but can you re-aggravate things? You don't want to rush back hamstrings and groins and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of a scary re-aggravation injury. So what does that mean? Someone who I think probably, if you're listening to this, you have seen me draft. You have heard us talk about here at Spike Week. Sean Tucker to the moon. I think it's genuinely possible that Sean Tucker steps in. Rachaad White maybe misses time to start the season. And as we've said it with Jahmyr Gibbs, and as I'll say it again, that you cannot put the genie back in that bottle. The genie in the lamp, right? You've rubbed it. The genie has come out. He was really explosive and providing you with some awesome wishes. And the wishes that you were not granted by Rachaad White. Sean Tucker provides some wishes that you don't get from slow, unexplosive Rachaad White. Of course, they trust Rachaad White in pass protection, so that's something to always consider. But Sean Tucker did that in college. I'm drafting Sean Tucker right now. I think he's a priority, probably the priority late round running back for me as of right now. Emeka Egbuka, also good at the game, looked great. Played on the outside, played mostly in the slot in college, and that was a concern that some people had. But to keep up with his Justin Jefferson comps that we've been putting out there, slot receiver who was not just a slot receiver. He played on the outside for the Bucs, and I think that's good because when Chris Godwin comes back, if and when Chris Godwin comes back, he is the slot receiver. If you can get Egbuka on the outside over there, that's good for his ability to be on the field immediately from day ones. I almost accidentally deleted this comment, Bernie. I'm not going to say it out loud for the audio listeners. Also, because I don't want anyone hearing me or being able to clip me saying something about that. But yes, I will stop. Maybe I'll stop. We'll see. Chiefs, Cardinals. We got 5 games to go. Chiefs, Cardinals. If you've been drafting Michael Wilson for your guaranteed routes at the end of the draft, I think I would stop doing that. Zay Jones played more snaps with the starters than Michael Wilson. Zay Jones, there's been a little drummer boy, not a big drum beat, but a little drummer boy beat about Zay Jones over the course of Arizona Cardinals camp, making plays. And Michael Wilson has yet to make a play in his entire NFL career. Frankly, since college, either he has not been making plays. So they have a guy making plays in Zay Jones. You don't have to draft Zay Jones, but I think if you get boxed out, like especially maybe in some cumulative scoring or eliminator style formats, you really need some help at wide receiver, especially early season. I think Zay Jones is going to be a starter for the Arizona Cardinals. And it's a little bit even more concerning for Michael Wilson, because the reason why we're drafting Michael Wilson is he's going to run all the routes, and anybody who runs all the routes can back their way into some fantasy points. Not saying Michael Wilson still can't, but I think it's looking a little bit more bleak for Michael Wilson after game one. Jalen Royals was with the second team, didn't get in there, but the starters would have been nice, of course, for our Jalen Royals bags to see him in there. But yeah, I mean, they got to play Juju. You know what I mean? We got to play Juju Smith-Schuster with the starters. I think Sky Moore is going to get cut, and Jalen Royals did. At least I didn't check the box score at the end of the game, but when he was done playing at halftime or whatever, he had 3 catches, and no one else on the team had more than 1. So from a performance perspective, I think Jalen Royals is fine. Hopefully, we can keep climbing up the depth chart. Pacheco starts. I did think this was notable. I did want to see kind of, what is the Chiefs' starting running back situation and how does Isaiah Pacheco look? I mean, we just kind of assumed he would start, but, does Hunt come in right away? Does Eli Mitchell mix in? Does Brashard Smith mix in? No. Eli Mitchell, in fact, was kind of the co-RB3. So it was Pacheco. And then in came Kareem Hunt. And then Eli Mitchell, Carson Steele actually came in the game first over Eli Mitchell, which doesn't seem great. And then Eli Mitchell steps in after Carson Steele, and they kind of share the RB3 role. Brashard Smith was like the RB6 amongst the Chiefs. So if we were hoping for him to be Jerick McKinnon, he's got a long way to go in that regard. I just want to hit this. Tumil says, too much concern who played and who didn't. Often the coach is putting guys at the end of the roster out there to confirm why they're cutting them later, i.e. Brooks in Green Bay after what Amar did. So I wouldn't agree with this. Too much concern. I'm trying to, hopefully it's coming. If it's not coming through in the tone of my voice and the things that I'm saying, I'm never saying this is the end all be all. I'm actually continuing to try to reiterate that it's not the end all be all. It's just, right. I keep saying things like it's just one game. We'll see how the rest of the preseason goes, all that kind of stuff. To the Chris Brooks thing in Green Bay, he played because the other guys are hurt. So that's why you're not going to hear me say anything special about Chris Brooks. It actually says on the screen, Chris Brooks RB2 without Lloyd and Wilson because they were hurt. So I'm not declaring Chris Brooks as the winner. But I think if you are not looking at this kind of stuff, you are sticking your head in the sand and you're going to miss all. Like this is how you would have missed Kyren Williams. This is how you would have missed Chuba Hubbard. This is how you would have missed Bucky Irving. This is how you would have missed all these guys if you just put your head in the sand and weren't concerned with who is playing and in what order and how the coaches are deploying these guys. You don't overvalue, like it's not the end for any of this kind of stuff, but we have to read the tea leaves. This is how we find this is not only just how we find the right guys, this is how we figure out who to avoid. Right? You were certain Michael Wilson was the wide receiver 2 on the outside for the Arizona Cardinals, and you don't care that Zay Jones played over him, right? It's like, are you so sure? I don't think you should be so sure about that anymore. Those are the kinds of situations that we're looking for. Another one that we're looking for here, if we get past the Chiefs and the Cardinals, is the Jets backfield. Brees is in a committee. I'm not the only one to say that. Again, if I'm having too much concern, I would go check out some other places. Some folks calling for Braylon to be the one that takes over this backfield by the end of the season. And Isaiah Davis came in for the third downs with the starting offense. That's where Brees is supposed to make his money. He's a good receiver. That's where he made his money in his breakout season with the New York Jets. Obviously an explosive runner, but a big play passing game and high volume passing game option. He played half the snaps. Braylon mixed in and Isaiah Davis played on passing downs. And so, yikes. Doesn't mean you have to draft Braylon, though I like Braylon a lot. Doesn't mean you have to draft Isaiah Davis, though I think he's interesting in terms of a last round pick, especially in 20 rounds, especially in PPR. But a third round Breece Hall is feeling like the I know better type situation. Just putting your head in the sand. If we continue to draft Breece Hall in the third round, I think we're ignoring absolutely everything that a new coaching staff who did not pay Breece keeps talking about. All they've done since May with Aaron Glenn and the Jets is talk about a three-way committee or to hype that Braylon Allen has been by their words, not mine, the star of the camp for the New York Jets. And then in their first action, all they did was show us that Breece is not. Breece in the third round, Braylon in the 14th round, and Isaiah Davis in the last round is not something that I think that the Jets running backs would agree with that spread of picks. I think Breece is an awesome football player. I still believe in Breece long-term, talent, all that kind of stuff. But am I looking to draft him where he goes right now? Not at the moment. I'm not. Mason Taylor, this is not from the game, but Mason Taylor has a high ankle sprain. Always concerning for a rookie tight end. We just, they trust him. I think he's one of those guys that, in terms of rookies, can be okay without the reps here in camp, but it's never good when a rookie, especially a rookie tight end, kind of misses the majority of camp and those valuable reps that you need for any player, but certainly a rookie, and certainly for any position, but specifically tight end. Jaden Reed's in a boot. Jaden Reed did not play. Even Matt LaFleur was weird about his answer. Like at first he made it seem like Jaden Reed's okay, just a little bit banged up, but said something, there's always concern when someone's in a boot, which is like just the vibes on Jaden Reed are so annoying. this is so annoying. Like, he's a really good football player, and we just can't ever have nice things. It can't be straightforward. We can't, like, I'm kind of buying this Jaden Reed dip, but it's just, I'm just annoyed. I'm just very annoyed by it. Like I said, Chris Brooks was the RB2 without Lloyd and Wilson. Jason doesn't think Chris Brooks is going to, I'm not saying who does or doesn't get cut. They also like Emmanuel Wilson. Emmanuel Wilson was one of the highest graded running backs per PFF last year. And Marshawn Lloyd, I don't think he gets cut, but Jesus Christ, man, at a certain point, you got to practice in the NFL. Broncos, 49ers, one of the more fun. Well, it depends on your perspective, I guess, whether you would call this fun. But I would say, I wrote down RJ Harvey is why we don't worry about Sean Payton's depth chart, like the initial depth chart. If you saw, it made some, if we've been following this for a long time, we knew that it was a troll job by Sean Payton. Sean Payton put RJ Harvey as the RB5 on the Broncos initial depth chart, him or the interns or whoever the hell, video producers. I don't know who does their depth charts. RJ Harvey then as the RB5 on the depth chart started the game for the Denver Broncos, was the starting running back. J.K. Dobbins did play. They played starters. The Broncos did. He started. He ran more routes, and he outcarried J.K. Dobbins. However, J.K. Dobbins did play third downs. So RJ Harvey came out, and they trusted J.K. Dobbins from a pass protection, a long down and distance perspective. So I think ultimately more bullish for RJ Harvey, but it's also totally fine for J.K. Dobbins at cost, in my opinion. Even more notable, it may be on par, notable nonetheless, Marvin Mims, who the royal fantasy community has sort of mocked, and I have openly mocked his price because they have a crowded wide receiver room. He has been sort of a gadget wide receiver through his first 2 seasons, who was also a part-time player. I don't know what this means. And again, to reiterate, this is not the end all be all, but these things are notable. The only problem Marvin Mims has at his fantasy cost in terms of him being a good pick is the amount of routes he runs. Up until this point, the information we have had is that he's probably not going to run all of the routes. There's been a lot of Troy Franklin hype and Devon Vele hype and a little bit of Pat Bryant. They drafted Pat Bryant. So you're like, okay, yeah, it's kind of hard to envision Mims' role growing. And then the preseason comes out, and he wasn't a part-time player. As a matter of fact, he was out there in 12 personnel. It was Cortland Sutton and Marvin Mims, not Vele, not Franklin, not Bryant. No other Sean Payton tomfoolery. It was Marvin Mims, and he played all the snaps and ran all the routes for the Denver Broncos. What does that mean? Again, I don't know, but noteworthy because he's a good, efficient player. We've just made excuses about his efficiency and called, we just ignore his efficiency. He's just Khalif Raymond or Cavante Turpin or something like that. Right. And maybe he still is, but he's 23 years old. He was a 2nd round pick in the NFL draft. And sometimes players get better. Right. We're thinking Troy Franklin might have gotten better as a 4th round pick last year. And Marvin Mims is a former 2nd round pick who did get better last year, was really good on the work that they gave him. Maybe he has improved. I don't know, but he's intriguing to me, around pick 130 where he goes now, because if this thing is real, I would love to have some shares if it's real. And if it's not, I think it's possible he could still provide some spikes. Franklin and Vele were the 2 wide receivers who came in 3 wide receiver sets. So I think bullish for both of them, not as bullish for Pat Bryant to start. Another one will continue to, right? Kind of like, I don't mean it's like Washington, like these guys are all better than KJ Osborne and Luke McCaffrey and whoever. However, but we want to keep monitoring this one, I think, because there's going to be winners, whether it's Mims, whether it's Vele, whether it's Franklin, whether it's Bryant. There's going to be winners in this room, and I want to monitor it for sure. The 49ers are the holy cow. Jeff says, just to make sure we don't miss this, Mason Taylor is back participating in team drills. So good for him. So maybe the concern over Mason Taylor thwarted at the moment. Let's see. Niners. The curse of the San Francisco 49ers lives on. I mean, I don't know, guys. I don't know what these poor guys. This is an absolute curse. Jordan Watkins flashed in that game. It was a little up and down. The coach quote was, he looked really good on some reps and not so good on other reps, but caught a 50-yarder in that game. Then he got hurt. He's now hurt. Jordan Watkins is. Amir Abdullah. So Isaac Arendo, Jordan James out for weeks, extended stretches, and Amir Abdullah now out for the season for the San Francisco 49ers, leaving them with Christian McCaffrey and Patrick Taylor, and they re-signed Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson, of course. It's just a tough scene to be a San Francisco 49er. Lastly, I did not put this on the notes, so I apologize. Brandon Ayuk, just yesterday, they were asking Kyle Shanahan kind of when he expects him to be back. And it didn't sound great, guys. Like maybe week 6. Maybe week 6 is when he'll be back per Kyle Shanahan. Maybe week 10. I said last night in the Best Ball Basement with Rob that it felt like if there's any Office fans here, when Dwight is, he's got his bunker where he stocks up all of his food in case there's an apocalypse or whatever. And but every however many years he needs to eat it, so he's sitting and eating, out of this big huge gallon jug of beets or whatever. And Jim is asking him, so like 2 weeks, how long could you last? Right, 2 weeks. He's like, that's possible. 3 weeks. It felt exactly like that with Shanahan. Like if somebody just kept asking, like 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 10 weeks, 2 years, like how long is Ayuk going to be out? He would have kept saying, that's possible. Yeah, that's possible. It was like, so this dude is just real hurt. And like, I just don't know. Even when Ayuk comes back, what's he going to look like? Because he didn't look good before he got hurt last year. I think it actually felt pretty damning for Brandon Ayuk. KT says Kittle and McCaffrey will be good. Kittle, McCaffrey, and Goose says Pearsall is the truth. It's hard for me to even dream up. Jacob Cowing is hurt. Jordan Watkins is hurt. It is Juwan is hurt / wanting a new contract. I'm probably going to buy Juwan because it feels like they're going to capitulate to Juwan now, like they have to. Brandon Ayuk's not coming back. Jordan Watkins is hurt. Jacob Cowing is hurt. Someone has to play wide receiver for the San Francisco 49ers. They may just have to give in to Juwan Jennings. KT says, I heard week 10. It's an absolute mess. So basically we are fading. Ayuk says Sizzle. I am. I just have so many other guys I would like to draft. And as Katie says, and I mentioned, it wasn't even very good before he got hurt. So tough scene for the San Francisco 49ers. Dolphins, Bears. My guy Luther Burden showed some flashes, made some mistakes. Actually got a fairly positive quote from Ben Johnson, which is rare, by the way. Notable when Ben Johnson speaks highly of someone. Basically saying, it hasn't been perfect. He missed some time. He's still learning and all that kind of stuff, but like praised his work ethic, praised his attitude, which like I said, we're not trying to draw too much from any one of these individual things, but when a total dickhead who only speaks negatively about people says something like that, I thought it was at least somewhat notable. So Burden, probably not a like week 1 play, but I think still a good best ball pick all around. Malik Washington, no Tyreek in this game. Malik Washington, they built the plane out of Malik Washington and Devon Achane. It's the same, by the way. It was the same old Dolphins bullshit. Quick game, same gimmick ass offense. I think Malik Washington is ahead of a Nick Westbrook-Akine. So if you were into NWI and thinking he was going to take that job from Malik Washington, notable, I would say, in that Jonnu Smith is gone. And we were like, who is going to take some of these Jonnu Smith targets? I think it might just be Malik Washington, which shout out to us. That's something that we called when the Waller thing happened weeks ago. I am not interested in getting into the Kyle Monangai Roschon thing. We talked about that a lot in the Discord. You can read a whole lot of messages. The main thing for me of note is, of course, there's been a lot of positive coach speak about Kyle Monangai, but potential for Roschon to still be, the goal line back, the third down back, whatever. It's a little bit of a murky situation. The big problem from a Roschon perspective for me is that he's hurt. He has a foot injury right now. And they don't have to tell us how severe these things are. So Roschon hurt his foot, and that's when, if you saw, they brought Jamal Williams in for a visit. They did not sign Jamal Williams, but they brought Britton Brooks, former Raiders 7th rounder. Britton Brooks of Duke, UCLA, something. Anyway, and they signed Britton Brooks. Now, I don't think Britton Brooks is going to make the team, but it's notable when guy gets hurt and you instantly go bring another guy in. Because, if he was only going to be out for a couple days, who cares, right? If he's even going to be out for a week or whatever, you don't got to go sign another guy. So just something to consider about the Roschon injury. I'm going to keep my eyes peeled for what goes on obviously I was going to keep my eyes peeled for what goes on in the Bears backfield overall, but with the Roschon injury, I want to pay attention. Monangai did play ahead of Travis Homer. If you're, obviously DeAndre Swift did not play. So kind of a quick and dirty Bears backfield shit show breakdown. Colston Loveland played the first 6 plays, got a couple targets, quickly took him out. Thought just a slightly little bull case for Colston Loveland. Jalen Wright got stuffed multiple times in a row at the goal line, leading to people being like, oh no, Jalen Wright's not going to get the goal line work that they've been, Tyreek and Mike McDaniel have been bickering about in press conferences. Then Alexander Mattison punched one in. The old vet Alexander Mattison punched one in. Unfortunately for Alexander Mattison, who I kind of thought might start becoming the RB2 there, given Jalen Wright and Ollie Gordon being a little bit underwhelming. He's out for the season. Alexander Mattison is. If you've been drafting Alexander Mattison, wow. But also stop. He's out. He's done for the year. So now it's down to Jalen Wright and Ollie Gordon for the RB2 as of now, assuming they don't bring somebody else in Miami. Saints Chargers, last game of the week, and then we'll pop into a Best Ball Mania draft. Thank you, Shibi. Yes, Travis Homer also got hurt for the Bears. Devin Neal is hurt, and in his stead, Kendre Miller started the game. Obviously, Alvin Kamara sat out, but they played a lot of other, no Chris Olave, no Rashid Shaheed, no Alvin Kamara, but they played their quarterbacks. They played, Brandon Cooks, Cedric Wilson played in this game, and Kendre Miller got the start at running back. As one might expect, the Saints offense was not awesome, not super impressive, but I think Kendre Miller is a good, I did move him up in the ranks a little bit because I think with Devin Neal missing extended time, I think he is a good bet to be the RB2 right now. Doesn't mean he will be. Cam Akers is still there. Neal can come back. But as of right now, I would bet Kendre Miller to be the RB2. Chargers tight end. Oh, I just wanted to note that, no one knows. If you think you know, you have no idea. They don't know. So Tyler Conklin sat out the Hall of Fame game. Will Dissly and others played. And so it was like, oh, is Tyler Conklin the guy now? And then in this game, Tyler Conklin played and Will Dissly sat out. Aronde Gadsden's playing. I don't know, man. I have no idea. I'm just no. The answer to the Chargers tight end is just no. No, thank you. I get it. Understand Aronde Gadsden is kind of appealing, but no, thank you. Spencer Rattler, as I mentioned, started at quarterback for the Saints. He is my current bet to be the starting quarterback for the Saints in week 1. Doesn't mean he will hold that job, but if I had to place my chips, I would guess that Spencer Rattler starts the season. So if you're drafting Tyler Shuck for early season production or any season production, I would be worried about that. Similar to the Michael Wilson thing. Aren't you worried about Tyler Shuck? Yep, very. He threw 2 touchdowns in this game. However, Tyler Shuck did. One of them just happened to be to a Chargers corner. He threw a pick 6 in the game. KLS and Trey Harris played a ton again in the first half of this game, similar to the Hall of Fame game. KLS kind of came back to earth, caught one pass. And Trey Harris did nothing again. Unfortunately, even as a Trey Harris fan like I am, or frankly, if you're a KLS fan, I think this has been about as bad of a run out as we can get. Keenan Allen signing there. Of course, Ladd and QJ already there. In a bit of a run-heavy offense, lost Rashawn Slater, offense, one of the best offensive tackles in the league, so maybe a slight downgrade to the overall offense. I've moved Trey Harris way down. Not a priority at all for me, right? Not really drafting Trey Harris right now. I think he could have some like Ricky Pearsall-esque late season hopes, backing up Keenan Allen, right? KLS maybe backing up QJ and Trey Harris backing up Keenan Allen. But we're talking about contingent value, right? It's like a Jalen McMillan type situation here, Parker Washington type situation here, which is just, it is what it is. Sometimes our guys aren't as good as we hope, or the situation doesn't break their way. And I think that is ultimately what has happened here with Trey Harris. So we're backing off of there. That is game by game. Got there in just about an hour. And so let's go ahead and put some of these new preseason takes to use in a Best Ball Mania 6 draft. This will be so after this, I'll have 35 BBMs left. Looks like we need 7. What a recap, says DJ Quill. Yeah, I need some tea and honey. Didn't even have to do the first 3 games. That was only 13. 13 games. 13 preseason games in an hour. We did it. Shout out to us, guys. Congratulations. KT says, makes me want to push Swift up a little. I have no problem with this. The problem that I think you'll find is the market also pushed Swift way up. DeAndre Swift is up to pick 67, and the RB, what is that, 22? RB 22, DeAndre Swift, pick 67 on Underdog. Higher on both DraftKings and Drafters is DeAndre Swift. So yeah. I also would love to push up DeAndre Swift and be a little bit more invested, but I'm just not sure that it's going to work. I'm just not sure that we're going to get the price that we would like to have. Looks like we're full picking out of the 104. Sizzle. Amari Cooper to the 49ers is coming. That would be hilarious, and that would be disgusting. D. Owen says Pearsall should go by Travis Hunter now. I got no pushback on that. Gadsden seems like an 18th round click. Usually a mess at a position group is good for rookies to have a chance to climb depth charts. I see both sides of this. I don't think you're wrong. A mess can absolutely be a good situation for a rookie to emerge. The problem is that it's a mess because they have 2 veterans who they seem to trust, Will Dissly and Tyler Conklin. So it's not a mess like, what's a good example of a different mess at tight end? I don't even have a good one. Seattle, Noah Fant's gone. It's like, is Elijah Royal going to take the bull by the horns? And because it's a mess, because there's just like no one. Like, we can hate Will Dissly and Tyler Conklin all we want, but they're kind of like that Samaje Perine, Brian Robinson, trusted veteran running back, tight end that these teams do seem to trust. I'm going to take Jahmyr Gibbs. Sorry, Saquon, you can have him DYLZ. Let's see. I know I missed some stuff. Caleb Johnson might be Benny Snell reincarnated. It's certainly possible. It is certainly possible. So some stuff I am trying to get ahead of in these drafts is what the show tomorrow is going to be about going and getting your guys. So I'm glad we did this recap first, and we've been really monitoring training camp and the preseason news. And why might we do this is because once we start to get this information, ADPs are just wrong. Hayden Winks from Underdog posted within the last couple of days that like this is like his favorite time. This would be his favorite time to draft because interestingly, Underdog ADP doesn't update fast enough, essentially is what he said, which is kind of funny. But Underdog ADP doesn't update fast enough to catch up to Tyjae getting hurt, Rachaad getting hurt, Keaton popping off in camp, Roschon being hurt and Monangai being a last round pick, the Najee stuff, the Mixon and Chubb stuff, right? The ADP can't update quick enough. So you're just going to get some guys going later than they probably should, given the new information that we have. And so when we have this new information, we have a short time, in a few days, the ADP will be updated. In a week, the ADP will be updated with this information, and then we'll get a new wave of preseason stuff. We shouldn't be so beyond a certain point. Once you get into round 12, 13, 14, whatever, somewhere around there, like we kind of always say this here at Spike Week, but especially now, the ADP just doesn't matter at those points. From like, if we use our auction dollar perspective, they're all $2 players or $1 players or $3 players. Like when you get to the end of an auction draft, do you actually give a fuck if you spent $1 or $3 on a player? No, you don't. So why would you care in this draft, especially when you're getting, these guys might actually be $5 players, but you're getting them for $2. Like I want to soak up that value. And if I have to pay pick 160 for a guy whose current ADP is still 189 or whatever, like that's fine. Like go get your guys that you want to pounce on, because you can't ever get the draft back. Right? Once you've done that draft, you cannot get it back. Oh man, I wonder. I'm gonna 47% of my Gibbs teams have Trey McBride and BBM. That seems aggressive. I know Ladd has been falling, so I've really been trying to. What the hell, Underdog? I've really been trying to push him to see, but I don't think he's going to come back to me at 28. So maybe I'll regret that, but you'll see. Charles says, fun exercise. Maybe we can do this tomorrow. Come back tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern. I'll be live every day the rest of this week at 10 a.m. Eastern. I'll be live drafting teams, talking the latest news in camp and everything. And of course, Friday, we'll do like a full-fledged recap of the week of training camp and the Thursday preseason games. And of course, give away free tickets. If you were not here at the beginning of the show, reminder that if you comment on any of our videos from this week, you'll be entered to win free tickets on Friday. Ooh, I don't have a Gibbs, Ladd, Lamar start yet. So let's go ahead and get that one in the bag. Going to be missing out on elite tight end on this team, but that's okay. Interesting. I like this. This is a fun tactic. D. Owen says, I was going to hop in, but I'm saving my BBM. You only have one BBM, or like you just have a handful left that you're trying to save. But he says, saving my BBM draft for the Rice suspension, as I think you'll be able to build Chiefs super teams. I'm pretty into that. I like it. See if we can get the suspension and then get the old double count of the Rashee Rice, like get him to fall to the 8th round or something. I'm just terrified that we're not going to get it in time, because I got 35 left, but I can roll through 35 in a couple of days if I really try. And I'm kind of trying to save my bullets for over on DraftKings.com and Drafters, especially DraftKings. I still got a bunch of DraftKings and Drafters teams to do. And I like waiting for information on Drafters, and then on DraftKings I like waiting for the bad players. The fish, the casuals, the whatever we want to call them. I love waiting for those guys to come in and infiltrate our waters and give us some beautiful rooms that we couldn't normally get. I hate how you have to zoom out in this. So this new board is beautiful, but if I'm at 100%, it doesn't all show on the screen. I'm going to go down to 80% to get the full board to show on the screen, which is a little frustrating. First world problems. God, geez. Oh no, your fancy fantasy football draft board doesn't show on the entire screen while you're streaming a draft at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday. What a rough life. I see you, D. Owens. I like it. I think that's a great. I think what you're doing with your bankroll is super sharp. Hammer that low dollar stuff. Get your volume in, man. That's what I would do too. Playing it well, in my opinion. You can get a ton of volume in all that low dollar stuff. $1 tournaments, $2 tournaments. Drafters has another $3 tournament. They just launched another mini, the $3 mini. There's a lot of ways to get a ton of teams, no matter your bankroll. It's like DFS. What's up, Marier? Good morning. Welcome to the best ball streets. Warehouse says, I have inside info on Rice. The league will not suspend him. Instead, he'll be forced to play 4 games for the Cleveland Browns. I think, do you think it would be more torture to play for the Cleveland Browns or the Pittsburgh Steelers this year? Historically, it would obviously be more painful to play for the Browns. But the Pittsburgh Steelers, with Aaron Rodgers and Arthur Smith and like that disastrous offense playing a million tight ends, do you think it would be worse? I kind of think it would be worse to play for. You know what? Let's speaking of go get your guys season. What I will say, I took TreVeyon Henderson in the 4th round. So I have Jahmyr Gibbs, Lab McConkey, Lamar Jackson, TreVeyon Henderson. I mentioned some of those wide receivers, the Marvin Mims of the world that I'm looking to target a little bit more. And then what I will say is, especially on a Lamar team, the wide receiver, I don't know what we're doing as fantasy football drafters that Zay Flowers goes at pick 57. I can have Zay Flowers in the 5th round of any draft I want ever of all time. Why? Someone explain this to me. Why DK Metcalf goes at pick 49, why Cortland Sutton goes at pick 49, why Terry McLaurin, whatever, he's falling in this draft. He's not going to continue to go at pick 41. Why? And then, of course, I say this. I knew it. I just knew it. I say this, and someone was going to take Zay Flowers. So, let's build a robust team, shall we? Let's build a robust team, but the Spike Week way. Take RJ Harvey, Jahmyr Gibbs, Lab McConkey, Lamar Jackson, TreVeyon Henderson, and RJ Harvey. Kiss my third leg, says Zay in the 5th is cray-cray. It's been that way all summer. I agree. No respect. And no, it's not just no respect for Lamar wide receiver 1, which of course it is. Lamar Jackson, in my opinion, the best quarterback in the league. Zay Flowers is awesome himself. Isaiah Likely is hurt. They added nothing besides the corpse of DeAndre Hopkins to the wide receiver room. The floor is so high, and the ceiling, what if they throw more? What if he actually scores more than 3 touchdowns in a season? Like Lamar threw 45 touchdowns and Zay couldn't score touchdowns. Bateman's not going to score double-digit touchdowns every single season. It's not only going to be the tight ends. It's just like, it's crazy. Absolutely insane. Charles says, I think the Rice fall already happened. So here's what I would say to that. It did, but they're double counting always. There's one thing we know for sure in fantasy football circles is people react to the news. Some people. And all you need is enough people to react to the news, and then enough people like us sitting here, getting excited, being like, oh, he just got suspended. Let's see if I can get in there and get him at a value. It's like you need enough people to react, and they always do, man. Everyone on the planet knew that Jordan Addison was getting suspended. Everyone. And then he got suspended, and he fell again. It's like he had fallen gradually over the course of the summer because people are like, don't you know he's going to get suspended? And then he got suspended and he fell again. It's like it just always happens. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying it is. It just always happens. It's insane. The Pearsall rise, speaking of risers, up to the early 60s, which I think is correct, but damn. Yeah, let's take Juwan. Like I said, it's straight hopium. I have nothing to back this up, but just hope that they don't have any wide receivers left. Then maybe now they pay Juwan and magically his calf is healed, right? When he signs on that dotted line, all of a sudden it goes from his arm down into his chest, all the way down to his calf, and voila, we're good. Problem solved. Calf is healed by millions of dollars. Third leg says, I get a bad feeling Terry gets traded to the 49ers. They're desperate for wide receivers. The problem is they don't have the money to pay him. So here's something. I have Gibbs. I could do Laporta. I have so much Jaden Reed on these teams. Let's do Laporta. So I am buying the Jaden Reed dip, but if you see here on your screen, I can zoom in a little bit and see quickly before he goes. Like I've been taking so much Jaden Reed on these exact kind of teams, these Lamar teams. So you see, like I have 11% Jaden Reed, but 40% of my Lamar teams have Jaden Reed, and I like Jaden Reed. Okay, I've been buying the dip. 27% of my Gibbs teams have Jaden Reed. I just kind of want to smooth that out a little bit. I don't think it should be that I should be that overweight on these specific teams. I'm okay being a little bit overweight on Lamar teams because, of course, they play in week 17. I think they're a pretty fun little pairing for week 17. But there's also other Packers, notably Tucker Kraft. I might need Romeo Doubs on this team. I only have 2 wide receivers through 7 rounds, so I probably will need Romeo Doubs on this team. It just doesn't always have to be Jaden Reed, even though I kind of like him best at that cost, especially on Lamar teams. Yeah. Let's see. When going robust running back to start, 2 or 3 RBs, do you change what wide receivers you draft? Example, Sutton versus Williams or DK versus Pickens. This is a phenomenal question that I want to reiterate this point, and I'm so glad that you asked this. I don't change the wide receivers that I draft because of 2 reasons. One, ignoring what our opponents do, which I don't think we should ever ignore what our opponents do, but let's just ignore it for a second. When I need wide receivers, I don't want the boring high floor guys. I don't want Metcalf is never going to be a smash, but he's the wide receiver 1 on the team, so I can project his targets. I don't want the Jacoby Myers to be like, yeah, I know Jacoby Myers isn't going to be anything special, but I need wide receiver production right now. I need home run swings. I'm not worried about my week 1, like 12 points from these guys. I am worried about, speaking of Chris 33% Godwin with who? Gibbs? With Ladd. Interesting. I'm down for Chris Godwin. I think he's also a pretty awesome fit on a robust team. Speaking of a good fit that the robust bros are like, can't take the injured guys. I need production right now. Whereas I'm like, I need to swing, dude. I want to be able to recreate when I get to the finals, right? I'm assuming I drafted a good team. I'm gonna make it to the playoffs. I have these running backs are doing my heavy lifting plus Lamar. I need to somehow recreate a superstar wide receiver room. You don't recreate a superstar wide receiver room with DK Metcalf and Jacoby Myers And those like floor play options, you're trying to buy projectable volume. I don't want to buy the projectable volume. I want to swing for the fences. Another reason why we do that is because if you go look at the data, which we have in Tournament DB on Spike Week, so you can see all the drafters and the DraftKings data that they supplied us, or you can go in Draft IQ and look at your opponent's teams, right? So however many teams you draft, if you upload them to the Draft Hacker / Draft IQ. Speaking of Mooney, another awesome fit on a robust team, and I'll buy the dip on another injured player. We got the full injury. I'm going to need Juwan, Godwin, Mooney to get back. I'm going to need them to get back. But how do I recreate, right, the room? I draft these kind of guys. And like all of a sudden, Darnell Mooney and Chris Godwin and Juwan Jennings are playing week 1. And this team looks like it's really good at wide receiver, despite the fact that I started very wide receiver heavy. But everyone, if you go look in Draft IQ, you go look in Tournament DB, when they start, right, you start with Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor. Go look at the wide receivers that they draft. DK Metcalf, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Jacoby Myers. It's always those guys. Always. The robust bros draft those wide receivers. They don't draft Jameson Williams. They don't draft, right, let's see, who's another good example? They don't draft Rome Odunze. They don't draft Ricky Pearsall. They didn't before. They probably do now. Draft Emeka Buka. They don't draft Matthew Golden. They don't draft Jordan Addison. The robust teams don't draft those guys. So those are specifically the wide receivers that I do want to draft. A, I like them better. And B, if the robust thing works, it hits. I don't want to show up with the same wide receivers, right? It hits. So there's going to be other robust teams that are doing well. I don't want to show up to the playoffs and like, sick. I'm coin flipping Jacoby Myers against Jerry Jeudy, right? No, I want to have Chris Godwin. I want to have Jaden Reed. I want to have these, buy the dip on Juwan Jennings, those kind of guys on those teams. D. Owens said, I did a BBM with Dak, CD, Pickens, Ertz, and Tua, Hill, Waddle, Waller, knowing it's super high variance for that exact situation. All right, we're at 1-3-4-1. Oh, damn. Kraft just went. Okay, I definitely got to get me Rachaad Bateman on this team. So that works. That's a fine consolation. Rachaad Bateman to go with Lawrence. Lawrence just went to go with Lamar in the 10th. Have a ton of Bateman instead. Yeah, I mean, Bateman is a fine fallback option. I just prefer Zay Flowers. I like Bateman fine. I got no problem with Bateman. But like he's much cheaper for a reason. Zay Flowers is much better at football, earns a ton more targets. Bateman ran real hot on touchdowns last year, which great. I'm hoping for. See, here's another one. We're going to take Luther Burden on this team. Another big upside swing at wide receiver, which is exactly what we want. That the robust bros ain't drafting Luther Burden. No chance. Who are the robust bros taking? There goes Josh Palmer. The robust bros are taking Josh Palmer and Hollywood Brown and Keenan Allen on these teams. They're not drafting Luther Burden. No way. So give me those guys, right? I want the goal of the extreme strategies, robust running back, zero running back, etc. Is specifically to take my draft capital, take my biggest portion of my funds, my money, right? Invest it somewhere, and I crushed it with that small subset of guys. Lamar plus my 3 running backs, slam dunk. They're the winners. Then with a quantity of picks, cheaper picks, right? Those are my $20 scratch off tickets, right? Lamar and those guys, 25. I don't know what's an expensive scratch. Is 20 still the most expensive scratch off ticket? I haven't bought a scratcher in a long time. But I did just watch the Always Sunny episode where they get the scratcher, and I can't talk about that one because it's wildly inappropriate episode. But I don't know. So the Lamar is a $20 scratcher, right? Jahmyr Gibbs is a 20 or 25 or 30 or whatever. These guys are the most expensive scratch off lottery tickets. So like I put a lot of my funds into those ones. I would like to get the biggest return on that. So I don't need to buy 10 $20 scratchers. And I also physically can't. I only have so much money. I buy a bunch of dollar. Yeah, right. Like how do I make up for I hit big, but I want to make up with the dollar scratchers, right? At the other positions. Like I take a bunch of them, but they need to be actual scratcher tickets, not fucking CDs. I don't want to buy $1. I don't want to put $1 into a CD or a savings account with 1% interest. Like absolutely not. I got to take a swing because I want to recreate what the other people did with CeeDee Lamb and Tyreek Hill and Marvin Harrison and George Pickens and Jamison Williams. I want to recreate what those wide receivers do with cheaper guys. And the only way to do that, you can't do that by bunting. You got to swing for upside. Justin Herbert falling all the way back here. That is beautiful to go with Lad. Wow. That's fun. We are having fun. Yeah, thank you, Bruce. 2 mules. I think Bateman leads all wide receivers in points. Did he lead all wide receivers in points last year on the Ravens because he scored touchdowns? I don't know. Did he outscore Zay? I really don't know. If you had one BBM bullet, who would be 2 to 3 of the players you would want 100%? You would want to 100% come out with player stand / values. Okay. Let me think about this. Man, 2 to 3 players. That's tricky. Oh God. Do I buy the Tyjae dip also? Let's push Tyjae. What's tight end looking like? I'm gonna pass on likely. I'm gonna do Brenton Strange on this team. As you saw, I have a lot. There was a lot of picks I've made here that are quite overlapping in terms of my portfolio. I actually been wanting to get my Brenton Strange up just a hair, and I actually feel fairly confident in Laporta plus Strange as a 2 tight end room. Keeping it to 2 tight ends because I really am gonna want / need swings, continuing to swing at wide receiver. I have 2 quarterbacks, 3 running backs, 6 wide receivers, and 2 tight ends, and I think I'm still gonna draft 5. I know I took 3 running backs in the first 5 rounds, but I think I'm still going to take 5 running backs on this team, and I want to be able to make sure that I keep this to a 2 tight end room for me. I understand a lot of people like 3 tight ends, but for me, I'm trying to draft as many 2 tight end rooms as I can. Can do more. Yeah. So C Spot Run says just answer Shipley already. Of course, Will Shipley. Number 1, Will Shipley. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you 4, but 1's cheating. There's 3 late running backs right now that are my priorities, and I'm going to give away who I'm going to be targeting in this draft. Yeah, I know that they're both week 8 buys. I draft so many week 8 buys, I've stopped caring about the week 8 buys. Eliminator gets a little tricky, but nonetheless, Will Shipley. If we're putting our balls on the table for 4 players, okay, Will Shipley, Keaton Mitchell, Sean Tucker. I want those 3. So what does that mean? That means I'm drafting 3 running backs late. That informs my earlier decisions. The other one, my cheating answer, is an elite tight end. You choose. Brock Bowers, Trey McBride, George Kittle. Love them all. Up to you. One of those 3. I want an elite tight end on my team, and I want those 3 running backs on my team if I'm only drafting the 1 BBM team. All right. So speaking of, Diami is pretty close into that conversation, by the way. 7th wide receiver. I need 2 more wide receivers, 2 more running backs to close out this BBM team. So far through 14 rounds, Jahmyr Gibbs, Lab McConkey, Lamar Jackson, TreVeyon Henderson, RJ Harvey, So double H, not quite triple H, but the double H team with Henderson and Harvey, Juwan Jennings, Sam Laporta, Chris Godwin, Darnell Mooney, Rachaad Bateman, Luther Burden, Justin Herbert to go with Lad. Fun. Brenton Strange and De'Ami Brown. As you probably would have guessed, I took Brenton Strange and then I took De'Ami Brown to get a little Jags, little secondary stack action going on there. So I got Lions, Gibbs, Laporta. I have obviously Lad stacked with Herbert, Bateman stacked with Lamar. And then I am a huge proponent of building out some of these little mini secondary stacks, of course, which that gives me Jaguars. They're one of my priority targets. And to give me a little bit of Jaguars action on this team. Chig getting a nice rise back on the clock. So the question now becomes, do I do Shipley or do I do Keaton? I think I have to do, you guys know I love Will Shipley, but on this Ravens team, I think I have to do Keaton Mitchell. Them's the rules. Third leg says JCM rising. Yeah, man, the JCM steam is getting very real. And I think it's fine. He's just not my favorite in comparing to like those guys that we just talked about. That's a great question. I love that question from D. Owens. So I never really actually honestly thought about it that way. I just rip a bunch of drafts and draft the shit out of those guys, but that's what it would be. So like I said, cheating for those 3 late running backs. Because like I kind of like a lot of wide receivers. And honestly, which stack I get, I like the 49ers, Jaguars, Eagles, Ravens like the most in terms of stacking. But like I really like the Packers stack. I really like the Patriots. I really like the Chargers. I like all of those different stacks. So it really wouldn't bother me that much, like which quarterback and which offense I stacked. But those have become my 3 late running backs that are just like and they fit any build, right? You draft a robust running back team, you can still draft those, like maybe not robust. You started 2 running backs, right? So I started 3 through 5. You take Gibbs, JT. You can close it out with Shipley, Keaton, Tucker later. Like that's an awesome running back room. So they just fit, right? They obviously fit a 0 running back team. You want to draft 6 or 7 running backs? Those guys fit. They fit absolutely every single structure. They give you the freedom to do whatever you want in the early rounds. Just go get one of your elite tight ends, which of course those 3 late running backs also help you get the elite tight end on your team. Owen says Keaton / Shipley over JCM. JCM has a lot of Kamani Vidal risk, if we're being honest. Yeah, it's a little wish casty with. I do think it's pretty likely that he is like the backup to B-Rob again, as you mentioned. Okay. Wow, Horton gone already. Okay, I'm gonna do Royals because as much as I would probably normally take Shipley here, he's a Royals is a priority for me, especially on robust teams where I need to get some juice, and then I can have my pick of the litter here hopefully amongst my 2 other backs that I've mentioned to close out my running back room, Shipley and Tucker. I'm pretty sure there's a right answer in terms of my I love B-Rob, but he's just not it. I mean, he's it in certain regards. As a pure, right, this is the Rojo versus Leonard Fournette conversation. JCM is not it from a pass catching and do everything perspective either. Right? But you have to be able to Dowdle and Roshan go, okay, I have so much Shipley. I think I want to, and so much Shipley on these teams. You see 100% of my starts with those guys. So I'm going to put Tucker on this team. Like, look at that. 100% with, who is that with? Lad. 100% of my Laporta teams have Shipley. 100% of my Gibbs plus Lad teams have Shipley. So as much as I love Shipley, you guys know, I want to get Sean Tucker onto some of these teams too. So we'll sacrifice Will Shipley to the fantasy gods today. I think September, October, it's B-Rod. I think later on. I mean, JCM is like fine, but like, I don't know if we're just like wiping away how many times do you think we've tried to do this? First of all, how old is Brian Robinson? 25? Brian Robinson Jr. 26. Just turned 26 in March. Brian Robinson Jr. is 26. Do you know how old Ja'Cory Crossky-Merritt is? I don't know, actually. Ja'Cory Crossky. Oh, my God. Typo. Ja'Cory. 24. Ja'Cory Crossky-Merritt is 24. Brian Robinson is 26. Ja'Cory Crossky-Merritt is a 7th round draft pick who did not play football last year, and his one good season is at New Mexico. Shining in camp is good. I do think he looks pretty fun and interesting. He caught 7 passes at Mexico and can't pass protect. So that's not everything, of course. Being a solid runner is something, but he, like, part of the reason why Brian Robinson plays is trustworthiness. And I know that we're not excited about trustworthiness. It's very boring. Absolutely. But like, it matters to coaches, like very much matters, as a matter of fact. So I'm not writing B-Rob's obituary just yet. How about Malik or Whittington? I have, who's it? What Atlanta guy do I have? Mooney. Let's do Malik. No, I did not miss my pick. Underdog. I haven't done very much Malik. Definitely not on underdog. I think I would generally draft Jordan Whittington, but I also think it's quite possible I could use some early season wide receiver. When you draft Juwan, Godwin, Mooney, and Burden all on the same team, and Jalen Royals, I think you might actually need, not trying to be a week 1 bro, but I think it's possible. I think I would project Malik a little bit better for Eckler is the receiving back. Yeah, and yet B-Rob caught how many balls last year? Because you need to be able to right, like, you need to be trusted, because you can't give away what you're doing on offense just based on who's in the game. That's the problem for those styles of backs. And as much as we hate Brian Robinson, and yes, Eckler doesn't just come in for every third down. Eckler actually, Brian Robinson would stay in. He caught quite a few balls last year in Washington. Like, we try to bury Leonard Fournette and Zeke and all these guys every year. And I get it. Very seldom it does happen, but generally not by 7th round rookies. That's why, like, the Kyle Monangai thing, I'm not burying DeAndre Swift when Roschon's just hurt. So JCM has contingent value, but his contingent value, because he cannot play on passing downs, is less than the other guys. So you're like, his contingent value is that of a early down runner, which is fine. But I prefer some other guys, given the fact that he's been the one to really shoot up boards. John with a super chat. John, thank you very much. Much appreciate the super chat. PPR, I assume that PPR rank Olave, Abuka. Oh boy. Olave, Abuka, Diggs, Addison, Juwan, and Caleb. All right, we're going to start at the back, and we're going to put Caleb last. Then it's fun. PPR. I'm trying to remember how I have these ranked, because I'm going to screw this up. I believe my current ranks would be Abuka, Olave, Diggs, Juwan, Addison, then Caleb. Abuka, Olave, Diggs, Juwan, Addison, Caleb. That order of those 6 is what I would say. Goat Huddle says B-Rob has the capability to score 15 touchdowns. I do agree with that. I will also just say that you asked a question earlier, and I'm trying to remember what it was. Oh, you asked about Keaton. Goat Huddle asked about Keaton. And so my take on Keaton is I've talked a lot about him. So I also do recommend going back and listening to some of the past episodes. Last Friday actually was a good episode I spent some time talking about Keaton because he popped off in the preseason. Keaton is an awesome football player on an awesome offense. That's great. That's a great place to start any form of a late round running back pick. I think he has multiple paths to standalone value, which is great, especially in best ball circles. I think he could steal, I don't think he's going to steal the pass protection type stuff. I don't think that's his forte, but he's a good receiver. I think they could manufacture him some touches. They throw him a lot of screens. I wouldn't be surprised if they made sure to get Keaton a screen every single week. I think Derrick Henry's 32 years old. To keep him healthy, I think you just give a handful of carries to Keaton Mitchell a game. Not anything special, but we're talking, let's call it 5 carries and a couple, 2 or 3 targets a game. Given his explosive upside and the fact that he plays for the Baltimore Ravens, he could be useful on those 7 touches in a game, right? So we know that. Could he steal some work from Justice Hill? Sure. Justice Hill is not an insurmountable player. I think, again, from a trustedness on passing downs, it's pretty insurmountable, but you never know. And then you have contingent value, right? If something happens to Derrick Henry, sure, he's not going to be everything. But given his level of efficiency, right, we're making the case for Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. He's a 7th round rookie that we've never seen. We've seen Keaton Mitchell do it in the NFL. We just saw Keaton Mitchell do it in the preseason, but we saw Keaton Mitchell do it in the NFL. And he is about as explosive of a player as we have in the NFL. So he just kind of has all this stuff. Multiple pass to contingent value, multiple pass to standalone value. I know he's good. I know he's explosive. And I know the Ravens are awesome. So I just get kind of everything that that I want. I'm not wish casting anything. And I get multiple different paths to him being impactful. And it's not just injuries, right? The injuries are what unlock most everything for every late round running back. But he also doesn't just need injuries. They're also very run heavy. It's Baltimore. All right, let's run down this team. And then I gotta walk my doggies. I didn't get a chance to walk them this morning. They're fiending for their walk, their exercise. Out of the 104, I started with Jahmyr Gibbs. We built a little robust team here this morning in Best Ball Mania. Jahmyr Gibbs, Lab McConkey, Lamar Jackson. Then took Double H, not quite Triple H, but TreVeyon Henderson, RJ, Harvey. And then we scooped some value, air quotes value. Yeah, I'm Ron Burgundy, Jawan Jennings, Sam Laporta, Chris Godwin, Darnell Mooney, Rachaad Bateman, Luther Burden, some falling wide receivers mixed amongst there, and some stable-ish veterans like a Bateman. Justin Herbert falls more than a round after ADP to stack with Lad. That was a nice little gift in our lap. Take a couple Jaguars to build a Jaguars secondary stack in Brenton Strange and De'Ami Brown. Keaton Mitchell, as we talked about, also it's a Lamar team, so I'm even more excited about Keaton Mitchell. Jalen Royals, Sean Tucker, who I mentioned is one of my priority targets right now, given the Rachaad White injury. And speaking of who looked awesome in that preseason game, Sean Tucker was awesome. And that's another nice thing to see. Sean Tucker looked as good as we thought he was when he came in their preseason game. And then closed it out with Malik Washington. I think there was several different late running backs that were on the board there to close out this team. What kind of doggy? I have 2. They're brothers. I don't think I'll ever get 2 dogs from the same litter again, unless it's an emergency situation where someone needs to be saved. But 2 Husky Shepherd mix dogs. They're 9. They just turned 9 this summer. So thank you, John, for the super chat. Thank you for joining us. And we're gonna get out of here. Everybody have a wonderful Tuesday. It's hot as shit. Thank you. Goat Huddle says as perfect a breakdown gets on Keaton Mitchell. Hopefully that swayed you guys to take some Keaton Mitchell. I will be back tomorrow drafting some more teams. Same bat time, same bat channel, 10 a.m. Eastern, Tuesday through Friday, leading up to the season, the next couple of weeks, every day, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern. And of course, drop a comment. Hit the like button and subscribe button on your way out, and drop a comment after this video is over so you can get entered to win a free ticket into the Drafters main event, which I will give away on Friday on the Friday show, at the end of the Friday show. But I'm going to get out of here, go get these pups some exercise. You guys go have some fun, enjoy your Tuesday, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.
Woo! Those were some spicy takes. Want to stay up to date with all of the other spicy takes we're going to have over here at Spike Week? Why don't you press that subscribe button below? You turn notifications on, we draft a team, boom, you know about it. We have another spicy take, boom, you know about it. You can be there, you can draft with us. You want to stay up to date? That's how you do it. All right, we'll catch you later next time here at Spike Week.